The stale smell of burnt coffee and disinfectant clung to my waitress uniform, a scent I'd come to associate with victory. It was just after 1 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I had finally done it. I sank onto the front steps of my apartment building, pulling the crumpled bank slip from my pocket. Under the dim orange glow of the street lamp, the number seemed to shimmer. $42,500. My half. A year of 70-hour weeks, of juggling my paralegal job during the day with slinging hash at a greasy spoon diner at night. A year of skipping lunches, of mending old clothes, of turning down every invitation from my friends. All of it had led to this single, beautiful number. This was the key to everything Alex and I had been dreaming of. A small, blue-shuttered house in the suburbs with a yard big enough for a dog and a garden. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of pure, unadulterated joy. I couldn't wait to see his face. Alex. My Alex. For 3 years, he'd been my rock, the calm center of my chaotic world. He was a freelance graphic designer, brilliant but struggling, and he'd always felt so guilty that he couldn't contribute as much to our savings. "You're the engine, Chloe," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "I'm just the guy lucky enough to be along for the ride." But tonight, we were both arriving at our destination. I practically flew up the 3 flights of stairs, my tired legs forgotten. I was going to wake him up, show him the bank slip, and we'd dance around our cramped living room until the sun came up. I slid my key into the lock, turning it as quietly as I could. The apartment was dark, except for the faint blue light filtering from the bedroom. He must have left the TV on. I pushed the door open, a wide, triumphant grin already spreading across my face, ready to whisper his name. But I stopped dead in the entryway. He wasn't asleep. He was on the phone, his back to me, his voice a low, conspiratorial murmur. I couldn't see his face, but I didn't need to. The words he spoke were clear enough to shatter the perfect future I had just finished building. "Leo, you're not going to believe this," he said, followed by a soft, incredulous laugh. "She did it. She actually got the money. Now we can finally be together." My breath caught in my throat, a sharp, painful gasp that the silence of the apartment swallowed whole. The bank slip, my trophy, felt like a piece of garbage in my hand. "Now we can finally be together." The words echoed in the hollow space that had just been carved out of my chest. Leo. His best friend. For a terrifying second, I tried to make it make sense. Maybe he meant we could all hang out more? Maybe Leo was moving and Alex was helping him? But the tone, that intimate shared joy, it wasn't for a friend. It was for a partner. I backed away slowly, my feet moving without any conscious thought. I closed the door with a click so soft it was barely a sound, and fled back down the stairs, my legs shaking so violently I had to grip the railing to keep from collapsing. I ended up in my car, parked a block away, the engine off, the windows fogged with my ragged breaths. The city hummed around me, oblivious. It hadn't always been like this. Or had it? I met Alex at a local art fair. He was charming, with a quick smile and eyes that seemed to see right through the carefully constructed walls I'd built around myself. He loved my ambition, my drive. He never made me feel like my long hours at the law firm were a burden. He was the artist, the dreamer. I was the pragmatist, the doer. We were, I thought, a perfect balance. Then there was Leo. Leo was a constant, a fixture in Alex's life from the moment I met him. He was a musician, just as artistic and free-spirited as Alex. "We're a package deal," Alex had joked on our third date, when Leo crashed our dinner, pulling up a chair and stealing fries from Alex's plate like it was the most natural thing in the world. I'd laughed, charmed by their easy, brotherly bond. Thing in the world. They had a language of their own, shared glances, inside jokes, sentences they finished for each other. I never felt excluded exactly. They made a point to include me. I was just orbiting their sun. "Leo's going through a tough time," Alex would say, canceling our plans to rush to his side. "Leo needs a place to crash for a few weeks," he'd announce, and I'd make up the guest bed without complaint. I saw myself as the supportive girlfriend, the one who understood the sacredness of a lifelong friendship. I never once suspected the truth. Now, sitting in the cold darkness of my car. Every memory was tainted, replaying in my mind like a horror film. Every canceled date, every shared secret, every time Alex's phone lit up with a text from Leo and his face softened. It wasn't friendship. It was love. And I was just the fool who was funding their escape. I don't know how long I sat in that car, maybe an hour, maybe 3. The initial shock had numbed into a cold, hard knot in my stomach. I couldn't go to my best friend Sarah's house. It was too late, and I didn't have the words yet. I couldn't get a hotel. My debit card was linked to the joint account Alex and I shared, the one I had just poured my life savings into. The thought sent a jolt of pure, white-hot fury through me. He wasn't just breaking my heart, he was robbing me. That fury was an anchor. It stopped the shaking. It cleared my head. I wasn't just a victim, I was a paralegal. I knew about evidence, about contracts, about leverage, and I would be damned if I let him walk away with my future. I drove back to the apartment, my movements slow and deliberate. I let myself in, and this time the lights were off. I crept into the bedroom. Alex was fast asleep, one arm flung over the empty side of the bed where I should have been. He looked peaceful, innocent. The hypocrisy of it made me want to scream. Instead, I went back to the living room and curled up on the couch, pulling a rough woolen blanket over me. I didn't sleep. I lay there, eyes open in the darkness, and I planned. The next morning, I was up before him. I made coffee, my hand steady. When he walked into the kitchen, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he smiled at me. "Hey, you're up early," he said, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind. I forced myself not to flinch. I had to play my part. "Couldn't sleep," I said, my voice surprisingly even. "Too excited." I turned and gave him a bright, artificial smile. "I was going to surprise you last night, but I was too wiped out." I pulled the bank slip from my jeans pocket. "We did it, Alex. We have the down payment." His face lit up with a joy so genuine, so convincing, it almost made me doubt my own ears. He picked me up and spun me around, laughing. "Oh my God, Chloe! You're amazing! I can't believe it!" He kissed me, a deep, passionate kiss that tasted like lies. "Our house," he whispered against my lips. "We're finally going to have our house." I smiled back, my heart a frozen stone in my chest. "Our house," I repeated. Inside, I made a vow. He would never set foot in any house bought with my money. But first, I needed proof. Irrefutable, undeniable proof. For the next 2 days, I lived a double life. On the outside, I was the ecstatic girlfriend, spending hours with Alex scrolling through real estate listings, talking about paint colors and garden plans. We were a picture of domestic bliss. But on the inside, I was a detective, waiting for my moment. It came on Thursday afternoon. Alex had a meeting with a potential client, a rare in-person event that would take him out of the apartment for at least 3 hours. Leo, he mentioned casually, was at a band rehearsal across town. The coast was clear. The second I heard his car pull away, I went to work. My first stop was his laptop. It was password protected, of course, but after 3 years, I knew all his secrets. Or so I thought. I tried his birthday, no luck. His mother's name, nothing. Then, a cold thought slithered into my mind. I typed in Leo's birthday. Access granted. The screen opened, and my stomach plummeted. It was all there, laid out in sickening detail. There was a private folder on his desktop simply labeled The Plan. Inside were spreadsheets, saved emails, even a mood board. Plan. One document, titled Financials, tracked my savings progress, with a projected date highlighted in red. The day I would hit our goal. Another spreadsheet detailed their budget for a new life in Portland, Oregon. There were links to apartment rentals in the Pearl District, job listings for musicians, and notes on how to transfer funds from a joint account to a new, private one under the name L. Vance. Leo's name? But the worst was the email chain between him and Leo. It went back over a year. I scrolled through hundreds of messages, my vision blurring with tears. They weren't just planning a move. They were living a secret love story. "Just a few more months, my love. Chloe's picking up extra shifts, the poor thing. She's so focused, she doesn't see a thing, one of Alex's emails read. Leo's reply: I hate what we're doing to her, but I can't wait to have you all to myself. No more hiding, just us and the Oregon rain. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely control the mouse. I methodically took pictures of every email, every spreadsheet, every incriminating detail with my phone. I backed up the entire folder onto a tiny flash drive I kept on my keychain. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a long con, a meticulously planned heist of my money, my time, and my heart. The naive, heartbroken girl who had fled the apartment 2 nights ago was gone. In her place was a woman with a flash drive full of evidence and a burning need for justice. That evening, I couldn't look at him. I told him I had a headache and went to bed early, the flash drive clutched in my fist under the covers. The evidence felt like a hot coal in my hand, burning away the last vestiges of love I had for him. The next day, I called in sick to my day job and took the bus to Sarah's apartment across town. I hadn't told her anything yet, but she knew something was wrong. You've sounded brittle all week, she'd said on the phone last night. When she opened the door, her cheerful smile faded the second she saw my face. Chloe? What's happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. I stepped inside, unable to speak, and just handed her my phone. I watched as she swiped through the pictures, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief, then to pure, unadulterated rage. That son of a bitch, she breathed, her knuckles white as she gripped the phone. That absolute conniving... I'm going to kill him. No, I said, my voice quiet but firm. You're not. We are going to be much, much smarter than that. I sat her down at her kitchen table and laid it all out. The overheard phone call, the laptop, the emails, the Portland plan. When I was done, a heavy silence filled the room. Sarah just stared at me, her eyes full of a fierce, protective fire. So what's the plan? She finally asked. You can't just walk out. He'll drain that account the second you're gone. I know, I said. That's where I need your help. I need to get that money out of the joint account and into a new one that only I can access. But I have to do it without him suspecting a thing. We spent the next hour brainstorming, a whirlwind of legal jargon and vengeful creativity. Sarah, who worked in marketing, was brilliant. You can't just withdraw it, she said. He'd get an alert. You have to make him think he's moving the money himself. For the house, the idea was simple, elegant, and terrifying. We would create a fake real estate agent and a fake escrow account. I would tell Alex that to be taken seriously as buyers, we needed to show proof of funds by moving the entire down payment into an official third-party account. The account, of course, would be a new one I'd open in my name alone. He's so close to his goal, he's greedy, Sarah reasoned. He won't look too closely at the details. He'll just see the finish line. It was a huge risk. It would require me to be the actress of a lifetime. But the thought of Alex and Leo, toasting to their new life in Portland with my hard-earned money, fueled a resolve I didn't know I possessed. The trap was set. Now I just had to bait it. The performance of my life began on Monday morning. I spent the weekend opening a new bank account at a different credit union, one Alex had no connection to. Sarah, a wizard with graphic design herself, had whipped up a professional-looking logo for a fictional real estate company, Summit Peak Properties, and created a convincing email template. I found the perfect house online, a charming little bungalow that was just slightly out of our price range, making it the perfect bait. Alex, look at this one, I exclaimed, shoving my laptop in front of him as he ate his breakfast. It's perfect, but the listing says they're only accepting offers from pre-approved buyers with proof of funds. I let my face fall into a mask of disappointment. We'll probably lose it before we even get a chance. He took the bait immediately. No way, he said, his eyes scanning the listing greedily. We're not losing that house. What do we need to do? Well, I began, trying to keep my voice from shaking. I called the agent, a woman named Brenda, and she was really nice. She said if we want to be competitive, we should move our down payment into an escrow account to show we're serious. She said it's standard practice for hot properties like this. I held my breath. He frowned for a second. A flicker of something, suspicion, caution, in his eyes. My heart hammered. Seems a little fast, he said. I know, I said, forcing a nervous laugh. That's what I thought. But Brenda said it's just how the market is right now. She sent over the account information. It's a title company they work with. She said once the funds are there, she can put our offer in front of the sellers this evening. I slid a piece of paper across the table, the routing and account numbers for my new private account. He looked at it, then back at the pictures of the house. I could see the greed winning, the vision of his Portland escape shimmering just within reach. Okay, he said finally, a slow smile spreading across his face. Let's do it. Let's not lose our dream house over a technicality. We sat side by side on the couch as he logged into our joint bank account. My hands were sweating, and my stomach was in 1,000 knots. He navigated to the transfer page and carefully typed in the numbers. He looked at me, his eyes shining. Ready to do this? He asked. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. He clicked the Confirm Transfer button. A small green check mark appeared on the screen. Your transfer of $85,000 has been initiated. It was done. All of it. My half, his smaller contributions, everything. It was all mine now. He wrapped an arm around me, pulling me into a hug. We did it, babe. We're finally on our way. I hugged him back, burying my face in his shoulder to hide the cold, triumphant smile on my face. Yes, I whispered. We are. I gave it 2 days. 2 days for the transfer to clear completely. 2 days of playing the happy, excited fiancé-to-be. We celebrated with cheap champagne and pizza. He talked endlessly about the blue-shuttered house, while I pictured him and Leo getting an eviction notice from their Portland apartment. On Thursday night, I told him I wanted to make a special dinner to celebrate our new chapter. I bought steak, a good bottle of red wine, and his favorite cheesecake for dessert. I set the table with our best plates and lit candles. The atmosphere was intimate, romantic, the perfect stage for a slaughter. He walked in from work, saw the table, and beamed. Wow, what's all this? He asked, kissing me. Just a celebration of everything we've worked for, I said, handing him a glass of wine. We ate, we talked, we laughed. I was astonishingly calm, a chilling serenity having settled over me. He was so completely oblivious, so wrapped up in his victory, that he didn't notice the coldness in my eyes. After we finished the steak, I stood up. I have one more surprise for you, I said. He grinned, leaning back in his chair. Oh yeah? Better than cheesecake. Much better, I replied. I walked over to the bookshelf and picked up a small gift-wrapped box. He took it, a look of boyish excitement on his face. He tore off the paper to reveal a small black box. He opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of cotton, was the flash drive. His smile vanished. He looked from the flash drive to my face, confusion clouding his features. What is this? I sat back down opposite him and took a slow sip of my wine. I believe it's called The Plan, I said softly. The color drained from his face. He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing, but no words came out. I also have printouts of the emails, I continued, my voice level. The ones where you call me the poor thing, while you and Leo plan your romantic getaway to Portland with my money. Or should I say, what was my money? He just stared, completely frozen. How? He whispered, his voice a hoarse rasp. The walls in this apartment are thin, Alex. I heard you on the phone with Leo the other night. The night I came home after working a double shift to make the final deposit into our account. Remember? When you said, she got the money, now we can finally be together. His entire facade crumbled. The charming artistic boyfriend disappeared, replaced by a cornered, panicked animal. Chloe! You don't understand. Oh, I think I understand perfectly, I said, standing up and walking to the kitchen counter, where I'd left my purse. I understand that, for the last year, you've been using me. You let me work myself to the bone so you and your real partner could start a new life. The only thing you got wrong was the ending. I pulled my new bank card from my wallet and tossed it on the table in front of him. The $85,000? It's not in an escrow account. It's in an account under my name, and my name alone. I moved it 2 days ago. You confirmed the transfer yourself. He looked from the card to my face, the full weight of his colossal miscalculation finally crashing down on him. His dream wasn't just delayed, it was gone, and I was the one who had taken it, his face contorted into a mask of pure fury. "You can't do that!" he snarled, bolting up from his chair so fast it screeched against the floor. "That's my money too! That's our money!" "No, Alex," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "There is no our anymore. There never was. There was just you, Leo, and your Mark, and the Mark just cashed out." He lunged for the phone on the counter, his fingers stabbing at the screen. "I'm calling Leo. We'll call the bank. You'll what?" I interrupted, letting out a short, bitter laugh. "You'll tell them your girlfriend found out you were scamming her and took the money back? What crime exactly are you going to report? You willingly transferred the funds. I have the digital receipt." His hand froze over the phone. He looked at me, desperation and hatred warring in his eyes. He saw the truth. He had no legal standing. He had been outplayed at his own game. "You're a bitch," he whispered, the words dripping with venom. "I never loved you." "I know," I said. And the strange thing was, it didn't even hurt anymore. It was just a fact, like the sky being blue. "Now, I want you out of my apartment." He just stood there, breathing heavily, his world imploding in real time. "I'll give you 10 minutes to pack a bag," I said, glancing at the clock on the wall. "Then I'm calling the police and telling them there's an intruder in my home who is refusing to leave. Since your name isn't on the lease, I imagine they'll be very helpful." That was the final blow. Defeated, he stalked into the bedroom, slamming the door behind him. I heard drawers being yanked open, the sound of clothes being thrown into a bag. I didn't feel a shred of pity. 5 minutes later, he emerged with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his face pale and tight with rage. He walked to the door without looking at me. His hand was on the knob when he paused. "You won't get away with this," he muttered. "Ah, I already have," I replied. And then he was gone. The door clicked shut, and for the first time in 3 years, I was truly alone in my apartment. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was vast and clean and full of possibility. I walked around the room, blowing out the candles one by one. I scraped the leftover steak into the trash and put the cheesecake in the fridge for later. It was, after all, my cheesecake. A few months have passed since that night. I used the money, my money, to leave that apartment and its ghosts behind. I found a small but bright condo on the other side of the city, with a balcony that gets the morning sun. I didn't buy a house with blue shutters. The thought of it still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Instead, I invested in myself. I quit the diner. I enrolled in a course to get my full paralegal certification. My life is quiet now, and sometimes the silence is hard, but it's an honest silence. It's the sound of healing. I got a text from an unknown number a few weeks ago. "You ruined my life. I hope you're happy." I didn't need to ask who it was. I just blocked the number and went back to watering my new plants. I don't know what happened to Alex and Leo, and I don't care. Their Portland dream, built on a foundation of my sweat and tears, crumbled to dust. Maybe they're still together, struggling. Maybe they imploded under the weight of their own deceit. It doesn't matter. They are no longer a part of my story. My story is about the woman who worked 2 jobs, who fought for a dream, and who, when she discovered that dream was a lie, had the strength to burn it all down and build a new one from the ashes. A better one. For herself.